The Migos and Lil Pump run the culture. And if you feel some type of way, suck my dick. The Migos and Lil Pump run the culture. And if you feel some type of way, suck my dick.
Check it out now. What? Now, a Lil Pump, okay, Dr. Pump, okay, the guy who was the youngest graduate from Harvard Medical School is saying that him and the Migos, they run the culture, and if you feel any type of way, suck his goddamn penis. Now, I'm just here to break down the difference between mainstream culture and also, I want to call it Instagram, like, it's almost like a mumble rap culture. And I hate the word mumble rap even though I believe I created it. I hate it because it doesn't constitute everybody who doesn't mumble anymore, okay? These days, mumble rap just stands for the new generation of rap, and I'm looking around and I'm seeing the people who are influential, and clearly Pump thinks he's influential because he got 10 million followers. If you don't know, he hit 10 million followers a couple days ago, and of course we know Migos, who dropped an album called Culture 1, then recently dropped Culture 2, they think they run the culture. Now, let's be clear about what culture they run, okay? In my opinion, Lil Pump actually runs the culture of the fucking 13-year-olds. Let's be honest. There's nothing wrong with it. They're still people. They still contribute to shit. And by the way, back in the day, they used to talk about buying power and they used to neglect everybody under the age of 21 because they probably assumed that you didn't have jobs. You didn't have no money to really throw around or spend or waste on music, so they didn't care about you. But in these days and times where it's all about the streaming. And of course, you could have a 5-year-old who's streaming a goddamn project on YouTube. You could have him streaming on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, whatever. It's all about streams, so it's not about age anymore. What does Lil Pump actually control? And by the way, I'll throw out Lil Pump's album sales. The first week numbers, it did around 44,000 first week. We know Gucci Gang was a very successful song in the country. That was top 3. However, let's be clear. Lil Pump controls, and I would say the 13-year-olds, okay? Doesn't mean that he's not influential. It just means that the culture that he controls is much different than the culture that Drake controls. That much different than the culture that Kanye West controls. Much different than the culture that Jay-Z controls. Okay, there's multiple cultures here, and I'm tired of people acting like there's only one culture because the Migos culture, even though now they're blurring the lines because they're getting poppin', yes, when the Migos put out a song, yes, you'll see it be played on pop stations because they're pop, okay? At a time, they only used to be beefing with like the Chirac rappers like Chief Keef. They were very niche. They used to complain about their influence not really getting its fair due. But these days, the Migos are pretty mainstream, okay? They did like 200,000 the first week when they dropped their last project, and clearly people have that respect on their name. But I gotta just say to Pump, you got a long way to go. Okay, I will say this. I've always said about the new wave of rap, you could be a niche rapper and get turned into mainstream because nowadays the niches, if you get big enough, is mainstream. By the way, I project X to do 150,000 records first week. That's mainstream numbers. But do I think he's appealing to the whole mainstream? No. He's appealing to his niche audience, and that's mainstream. Pump appeals to his niche audience, which is very big, and look at his Instagram follower. That's mainstream. The Migos, they're doing the crossover thing. Nowadays, you don't need a crossover to really appeal to the mainstream audience, but I do want to just say, Pump it, okay? Let's just pump the brakes, my nigga. You're not appealing to the same people as the Migos. You're not appealing to the same people as Drake. You're not running that culture. You're not running the culture that Jay-Z appeals to those people. You're not running the culture that motherfucking Kanye West is appealing to that people, okay? Or those people. You are operating and dominating your niche. You run your culture. And your culture is a culture of 13-year-olds, and you should be fortunate enough that you could say you run it, but let's not act like there's only one culture. And I'll say that about any artist, okay? A lot of people who love Kanye West, some of them are young now. They don't give a fuck about like Kanye West because they care about Trippie Redd. Okay, so there's multiple cultures now, and I'm glad rap is in a position where you could be a niche artist and still get mainstream attention, even though you're not doing mainstream shit. We're seeing it with X. We saw it with Pump. We're seeing it with 6ix9ine. We're seeing it with a bunch of artists who are putting up record sales that would be deemed worthy of a quote-unquote mainstream artist, but they're not mainstream. Okay, so when you say you run the culture, I would very much disagree, Lil Pump. Get in the comment box, you guys like them, subscribe. What do you guys think about this? Do you think Pump and Migos run the culture? If you don't think they do, who does? Name the people who run the culture. Okay, it's your boy Akademiks. Make sure you guys like and subscribe.